Oh, well done. Sorry, just testing audio. All right, we good? Okay. All right, well, we'll get started. So my name is Matt Jones. I'm a master's student here in the Technology Leadership and Innovation Department. I've been asked to come speak about how people learn. I guess we should do both screens. I'm new to the Purdue audiovisual system, so I apologize for that. But this is the EPICS class, right? Am I in the right place? Okay, all right, good, all right. Well, hopefully you'll feel at the end that you're in the right place. So real quick, if you could pull out a piece of paper, you're going to need a paper and you're going to need some writing utensil. You could take notes on your computer too, that's fine, but there's going to be some writing activities as well, something you're going to need a pencil or pen for. So yeah, so pull that out. And while you're pulling that out, I will finish introducing myself. So like I said, my name's Matt Jones. I am studying creativity and innovation, looking within organizations, their networks, how they're creating innovative cultures. But in my undergrad, I studied creativity and innovation within education, and I did that for about 3 or 4 years. And these are my various pursuits in teaching creativity and innovation around the world. There's Mexico up there. I've taught some students from Taiwan. I've taught at women's startup boot camps. Like we're going to get women in entrepreneurship. I've come and talked about how we get creative and come up with ideas and launch products into the marketplace. In the bottom left here, I helped co-found at my former alma mater. We created this K-12 innovation kind of science fair. These students, they go out, they find real-world problems, much like you're doing in EPICS, and they design solutions to them, and they come like a science fair and present them to judges who are entrepreneurs or professors of business, and then they get like thousands of dollars in scholarship money. So we helped co-found that, and so that's kind of my background, and I'm happy to talk to you about education or innovation and how those things come together and those sorts of things. But the question you're going to answer on your piece of paper is this one. How do you learn? Now, this isn't how you acquire information, right? This is answering the question of how do you learn something. When you say, I learned how, or I learned why, or I learned what does learning mean? How do you do it? So that's what you're going to write down for a little bit. I'll give you just a minute or two to think about that. Okay, I know some of you are still writing, but for those who would like to share, how about let's hear just from a number of you. How do you learn? How have you learned about how you learn? It's a crazy, convoluted sentence. But anyone want to share? How do you learn? Please. Okay, so you like lots of practicing of, like, you have to get your hands on it practice, or writing at practice, or memorizing practice, or all of the above. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Of like, we're talking like maybe like math, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Good. Thank you. Good. Did you want to say? Yeah, please. Okay, so the experience, the working over and over again. Okay, good. Others may be different. Please. Mistakes, right? Failure. Okay, good. All right, well, we're going to keep coming back to this, so hold on to that. So I had a thought in walking here. So this presentation is untested, so you are my guinea pigs. You're my beta. So if it goes well, let me know. We'll try and go do another test somewhere else. But here's our beta test. So this is my daughter. And I just want you to observe a couple things. I'll pause and, well, here we go. So here's her learning. Okay, so has anyone figured out what she's working on? She's making an ornament. Okay? All right. Okay, so how did she learn how to do that? Probably by observation. Okay? She's been watching mom do that. Okay? All right, so she laughs at her mistake. How did she learn how to do that? Why isn't a mistake shameful? Like, oh, I failed. Epic fail, even on TV, on video recording. How do you think she learned how to laugh at failure? Or is that just inherent? Yeah, so she's maybe taking some social cues, right? from all these different things, okay? And this video goes on for two or so minutes, and she can't figure it out again. She can't. Then she walks over and she says, "It's too tricky, Mom." So she pulls out another one, has to do a whole other one, right, until she finally gets it. So we have these experiences where we learn lots of different ways, right? My daughter Eleanor, she's learning by observation. She's learning from experience, right? She's learning from failure. There's so many different ways that we learn. And we're going to talk a little bit about two of those kind of thinking processes in learning. So I'm going to tell you a little story. So I was in the first grade. I was 6 years old. And we had this art project with ice cream cones. We had these two pieces of paper. And what we needed to do is take these scoops of ice cream on this one long sheet of paper. And we needed to color them, then cut them out. This is a 6-year-old art project, okay? So we had to cut them out and then also the cone, and then translate them to a new sheet of paper that was, so it's beautiful. It's this beautiful artwork as in first grade, right? And so this was part of many stations. And so we had some station over here that was doing some other activity. We had this art project and then another station. And I, being somewhat artistic at 6 years old, thought I'm going to do the art project first. So I go to the station, and as I went down to this project, I thought the only way to color, the right way to color, is to color in the lines. And so I grabbed the perfect crayon. I thought, this is, I don't want strawberry ice cream. I want chocolate ice cream. So I tried to find a good brown, and, I'm coloring in the lines. Well, along comes one of my classmates. His name was Blair. And Blair, he had already been at one station. He comes crashing into this art area. He comes, he just sets his stuff down, grabs a random crayon. He didn't even know what color it was, and just scribbled over the ice cream. And he went on to the next one, and I stopped. And I said, whoa, Blair, you are doing this all wrong. You are doing it all wrong. You need to color in the lines. And he's like, no, I don't. Grabs another crayon, goes to the next one. I said, no, Blair, you're doing it all wrong. You have to color in the lines, because that's how you color. And he says, no, Matt, it doesn't matter. Because if I just scribble like this over the whole area, then what happens if I cut it out and put it on the new piece of paper, which was what we're supposed to do, it will look like I colored in the lines anyway. And he finished his thing, cut it out, pasted it, went to the next station, and I just stood there in just total disgust that he did not color in the lines. He's off to the next station, and I was just sat there in my own just disgust that at least I was doing this right. I was coloring in the lines. So we're going to talk about this. This will kind of form the basis. There's an end to this story. So there's a piece of paper I've passed around. Should be at the end of all your tables. If you pass to your fellow classmates, this piece of paper has 30 circles on it. And on almost every class I've done this, people count to make sure there's 30 circles. I promise there are 30 circles. Okay? And what you're going to do is you just need to put an object in each circle, right? So you could draw the sun, you could do a phase of the moon, you could do a smiley face, it could be a soccer ball, okay, or football, or whichever you prefer to call it. But you have 60 seconds to fill in as many as you possibly can. I'm only interested in quantity, okay? And the timer will be a duck. So when the duck quacks, it is time to be done. Okay, you ready? On your mark, get set, go. "30 seconds. You can finish up your Mona Lisa or whatever else you've drawn. Okay, the duck has quacked. All right, so how many got at least 10? Okay, 10. Okay, who got 15? Okay, who got 20? Okay, I think, oh, sorry. Who got all 30? Okay, a lot of hands go up. What'd you do to get all 30? I see, show everyone, what'd you do? Okay, good. Same, similar. She wasn't as particular. We have X marks the spot. Circles. Anyone else get 30 that is proud of their work, please? Ah, okay. You started working backwards. Okay, please. Ah, okay. Very good. So, okay. So this is a variation on a theme. I do want to see this one. Okay. So we start with a smiley face, and we eventually degrade to this angry face. Okay. Awesome. So, if I was judging you on your creativity based on this, how would you feel about it? Nod in the head. You nod. You feel good about it. Yeah. What'd you do? You didn't. I noticed you didn't raise your hand for all 30. Is that true?
I'm not counting one of the circles.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not a complete circle. But I drew my friend Peter at first.
Okay.
That's Peter.
Okay.
And then I, pretty detailed. But then I thought,
Mm-hmm.
you said quantity, so I think these perfect circles are quite nice.
Okay. All right.
I didn't get 30 because that one.
But you'd feel I'm good. If you're judging me on my creativity, I'm good here. Maybe who would not feel good about a creativity assessment? Okay, all right, our line people are, okay? All right, very good. Here you go, next thing. So, I forgot, we have, let's see, 3, 3, 4. All right, so one of you drop down to this row to be a team member of this second row, sorry. Second row, one of you drop down to be with these fine front row folks. And you're going to be getting a character profile. And you are in a startup, the three of you, and you are selling bicycles online. It's this really cool website where you get people's customer profiles and then you customize their product for them. You say, okay, you're going to get one of our products. Unfortunately, you're a startup and you only have 3 different bikes to choose from. And so you only have 3 different bikes to choose from. So here's your character profile. You have, we'll give you, you're a fast group, so we'll give you like 2 minutes. How about that? We'll give you 2 minutes, and you need to read the character profile and then decide which bike you're going to sell to this customer. All right? Ready? Go.
She's looking at me and nods. Which means she's fine.
You figured it out? Okay, you've got it. Trying to remember. Okay, you got about 1 more minute to make your big decision. Okay, you've got it? You've got it? You got it? Okay, all right. With even 22 seconds to spare. Okay, so since we have kind of a smaller group, just briefly tell us, you don't read all of it, but just tell us kind of who's your character and which bike you chose. We'll just go from the front to back. Okay.
All right, so we have Ao, and she's 17. She runs and swims, and she's looking for a bike for a non-traditional triathlon, and she wants to save money. She lives in Colorado. She works after school. So we picked the beach cruiser because it's the least expensive option. And if it's a non-traditional triathlon, she'll be fine. She's also really young. She needs to save money.
She needs to save money.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. You're a very, very considerate startup. Okay, next group here.
Alejandro is 16 and he lives in LA, and his dad owns a business and his mom just got a job as a registered nurse, and all of his friends have bikes and they all want to go like biking on trails. So we thought we would get him the mountain bike because he's a 16-year-old, he's going to be aggressive with it. He could ask for it as like a birthday present, but then since he's 16 he can also work, and so he could take his bike to work a job to like help pay off the bike.
Okay, wow, very thoughtful. Okay, good, thank you. Please, next group.
We have Claire. She is 50. She's an author, and she just made a lot of money off her last book. She's looking for a way to exercise, so that'll keep her outdoors. And she lives in a place just outside the big city. So we decided on the general road bike because it'll keep her active, but she's not in need of a mountain bike because she's not going on the mountains anywhere. She lives near a city. And the beach cruiser wouldn't be as much in the way of exercise as the way it sounds like she wanted. So.
Okay, all right, good, thank you. Last group.
We have Iris, 23, single mother. She's also a math teacher, so not much money. And she needs an inexpensive way to get to school. She also needs to travel with 2 children and lives in a rural area on the outskirts of town. We decided the beach cruiser because she needed something affordable, as well as you could probably attach something to that, and so she could haul around her 2 kids. So, yeah, Iris should buy the beach cruiser.
Okay, all right, very good. Why the laughter here from the other groups? I'm curious. So what's... She might just want a car. Yeah. Do we know where Iris is from?
A rural area on the outskirts of town.
Based on her picture?
Based on her picture, I think it's safe to say not born in America, maybe, or if she was, parents are immigrants, maybe.
Okay, all right. So she may or may not live in the U.S. We're not sure, but she lives in a rural area. Okay, interesting. Very good. Okay, so very quickly, what's different and what was the same about your experience in these 2 activities? The 30 circles test and choose a bike, pick a bike, any bike. What's different and the same? Please.
You have to have like a little bit of compassion or understanding for a real human being's situation,
Okay.
rather than just coloring in circles.
Okay, so one had a very human element, one not so much. Good. Others? Or do you, no? Please.
We had to process information, like kind of just think about what to do instead of just like doing something.
Yeah, there's a little more to take in. Okay, interesting. Please.
Coming from a teacher's perspective,
Yes.
assesses more of the students' like actual understanding skill of like assessing a situation, and this is like standardized testing. That's
Okay, all right. Okay. We've kind of touched on this, so I'm going to keep going. So we'll come back to these activities. So this is a classroom. I Googled this. So this is like the first picture off Google. This is a 20th century classroom somewhere. Anyone, by the raise of hand, in a K-12 experience in your formal school, did you go to school in a place that looked like this? A raise of hand? Okay, I did. We sat in desks and we sat in rows, and there were chalkboards, and the windows were blinded because you need to pay attention to the projector screen. Someone had a PowerPoint on, right? Okay, everyone's kind of nodding their heads like, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, you didn't have, no, all the girls didn't have bow cuts, right? So, okay, maybe not. But this is a 20th century classroom, and this is not so much a discussion about the education system. I want you to think about learning again. This classroom says something about how these students are to learn in this environment. This is how they learn. This is routine tasks. It's rudimentary. It's very organized, very orderly. It's very predictable. Okay? This is where they're planning to go work. This is a factory in the early 20th century. Okay, as you can see, they're all in rows. They all have their own projects or assignments in front of them. They are routine, rudimentary tasks. The one day will look just like the next. They have an overseer. It looks like a white male with a cool hairdo. And it may be a white male with a cool hairdo in here. We're not sure. But interestingly enough, we kind of said, oh yeah, our classroom looks kind of like this when we were kids. That's why I said a classroom near here. Like, have schools, the environment of learning really changed that much? And yet our workplaces are totally different. Totally different. But we say that the way you're going to learn for work in this modern era is the same way as you learned it in this one. Very interesting comment on how people learn. Again, we're not saying any positive, negative things about the education system, but just about how people learn. So there's two different kinds of thinking that we're operating with here. There's convergent thinking, okay, which is characterized by this idea and this notion, sorry for my notifications, but characterized by, from the available options, I choose the best one. I whittle this down. You know, this is the bike activity functions on this. I have these three options, I choose the best one. It can be a complicated, empathetic process. Nevertheless, if I know that there is a right answer and I have these limited options and I have to find the right answer, I'll get to it. Now, we laughed because Iris's beach cruiser is probably not the best solution for her, right? Iris probably doesn't need a beach cruiser. She has 2 kids. She's got to lug them around. She's got to do all this stuff. She doesn't need a beach cruiser. But yet we had this convergent thinking mindset and this, teacher at the front that said choose these 3. But there's another mode of thinking that may have helped with that, which is this notion of divergent thinking, which is characterized by what are all the ways we can, or what else can I make, or what else can I do? You have these options, but you say, yeah, I have these 3 bikes, but Iris doesn't need a bike. She needs something totally different, and we should innovate that. We should design that for her. We should make something for her. Rather than, these are our available options, we choose the best one. The education system picture that I showed about learning, that's what it's focused on. It's focused on convergent thinking, which is there's a right answer in a math test, right? And think about your last test. There's your question. From these available options, choose the best one. And so, again, you have these 2 modes of thinking. Neither of them are evil or better or worse. They just are. These are 2 modes of thinking. They're not the only 2 ways. But I would argue that convergent thinking we are very accustomed to in education. And we think that's how we learn. There's one right way to learn math. There is one right way to learn physics or EPICS or whatever else. There's one right way to do it. And so we choose from the available options that we see around us, and we choose that best one, rather than saying, what are all the ways that I could learn algebra this semester? Right? What are all the ways I could do this? Okay, and divergent thinking functions that way. And divergent thinking is kind of the major source of creativity. And so that 30 circles test is actually a test of creativity. They say, color in these circles, fill them in. And I've done this with junior high kids from Taiwan, and they get stuck after 3, and they can't think of what to do after 3. There's no right answer. They can't do it. And I talked to them about why, and they said, well, there's just no right answer. I have to come up with this all in my head, and I don't have to usually do that. I usually have to just look for the right answer. And so you're all very speedy and efficient, so that makes you very unique. But here we have the ice cream story again. So I ask you, here's me working on my little ice cream art project. There's Blair. He comes blazing in. So here's my question to you. Who's using divergent thinking and who's using convergent thinking in this story? And why do you think that? I mean, maybe it's obvious. Please.
Blair just kind of gets it done the quickest way possible, and the outcome is the same. So I'd say he has more divergent thinking.
Okay. He's a divergent thinker. Okay, but his whole mode was on efficiency, which is like totally convergent thinking style. So are you sure he's a divergent thinker?
That's the way I see it, I guess.
Yeah? Okay, you say, maybe. Why?